Did a cartel submarine really force the U.S. Navy into a close-quarters firefight in the Gulf of Mexico? You're in the right place. In the next minutes, we reconstruct the October 2025 intercept step by step. How a P-8 Poseidon and an MQ-9 Reaper boxed in a low-profile, radar-dampened ghost sub, and why Coast Guard cutters and Navy RIBS had to board under fire. What made this craft more than a smuggling boat? A massive lithium-ion battery array, encrypted nav drives, and autonomy that changed the fight. Stay as we unpack the first moments, the weapons used, and the decision to treat the sub as a weapon. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The radar watch showed almost nothing, just a smear that didn't fit shipping lanes. So why scramble a P-8 Poseidon and peel a Coast Guard cutter off its patrol? Because the smear kept returning where no boat should linger, in water too busy for idle drift and too shallow for deep draft traffic to meander. The alert went out not for a hull, but for a behavior. Small bursts of heat blooming and fading, a thin wake slipping across currents at odds with the wind. The Gulf was calm enough to read like glass. That made the anomalies louder. Routine patrols live on pattern. Tankers push lanes. Shrimpers cut tight arcs over grounds they know by GPS and habit. This contact didn't sign its name in that book. Analysts flagged a low-profile signature, a silhouette sitting a few inches above the chop, then gone. Heat plumes popped and vanished like a cough. The wake ran shallow and straight, then snapped 90 degrees with zero drift. Standard surface search found whitecaps. VHF stayed dead. The ISR cell called it early. Someone had built a craft to live in the noise and breathe only when it chose. The P-8 crew shifted radar modes, leaning on maritime surface search, then synthetic aperture passes to paint the water instead of the object. The EO/IR turret hunted for hotspots that didn't match engines on the lanes. An MQ-9 took the offset, climbing and dropping to rake the scene from angles, not for the hull, but for the wake geometry. Where two faint lines converged, the team marked a breadcrumb. You don't always chase a boat. Sometimes you chase what the boat does to water and air. The edge came from the boat's skin and shape. The frame rode low, so waves hit it. Coatings knocked down the radar return. The exhaust bled heat into the water before any plume could stand tall. Its roofline barely broke the surface, trading speed for quiet. Every design choice robbed the sensors of something. Cross-section, infrared contrast, profile height. But those choices also forced the hull to expose its routine in small, regular ways. That routine cracked it. Across several passes, the Poseidon team saw brief spikes, short surfacing windows that clustered around a tight interval. 90 seconds up, long stretches down. Battery management cycles leave fingerprints when lithium packs vent, switch banks, and dump heat. Those little pulses linked across tracks into a beat. Once analysts aligned the timestamps, they could predict the next breath. Hamilton bent off her route to intercept. Two Navy RHIBS held standoff in the dark, running quiet with their own sensors down to keep the ocean from turning into a mirror. Overhead, the aircraft tightened the box. The goal wasn't shots fired. It was herding the contact toward shoals that denied it depth to hide. The craft kept slipping the edges, then meeting the wall again, like a rat in a maze that keeps learning too late. We've seen semi-submersibles move multi-ton loads. Crews throw tarps over plywood and hope speed and luck win. This platform didn't act like that. It conserved power with discipline. It hit waypoints with sharp edges and clean turns. The navigation looked trained, or autonomous, or both. Not reckless, not rushed. A system doing what it was built to do again and again. Once the team clocked the battery cycle rhythm, the contact stopped being a ghost and became a metronome. That let planners cue the push at the top of a surfacing window, when the hull had to breathe and could be fixed long enough for boats to close. Green light on the intercept followed within minutes. The response that came back from the craft wasn't the shrug of a courier dumping cargo. It felt more like a platform defending its mission, and the approach shifted from shadowing to a boarding under threat. They greenlit the intercept on a surfacing beat, and the response from the hull made the decision for them. The venting slowed it to boarding speed, but the behavior said threat. A smuggling boat dumps load and runs. This one squared to the RIBS and stayed on mission timing like a metronome. That's why the brief changed. Treat the platform as a weapon, not cargo. 4 RIBS came off the Hamilton in a spread, wakes braided tight. 60 sailors and Coast Guardsmen were stacked 2 deep on the tubes with M4s up, MK-48s ready for suppression, and M100s-10s covering angles for precision shots. The warning ran through every headset. Expect booby traps, expect a scuttle, expect to fight on the lip of a hatch. The sea was flat enough for clean approach. They cut in from offset bearings to split fields of fire and deny arcs back at the drivers. Flashbangs went first. The hatch cracked, the grenades went, and the reply was gunfire. Submachine bursts stitched the bow shield of the lead RIB. Tracers skated low, and fragments kicked back into faces and forearms. One sailor took shrapnel and went down behind the console as the coxswain shoved throttle to hold position. The second RIB answered with a short MK-48 burst that chewed hardware off the coaming without ventilating the pressure hull. Grapnels flew. Hooks bit the lip. Boarding ladders slammed and flexed. Cutters on battery-fed saws drove wedges into a seam the hatch team called out, carving a narrow hold open in case someone tried to slam and flood. Port element laid down disciplined strings, short and aimed, keeping heads inside while starboard moved bow to stern for systems denial. The priority wasn't the crew. It was the valve that would drown the evidence in the boat in seconds. A breacher snapped a pad eye, slid a bar, and 2 hands locked the suspected scuttle lever with a jam nut and a steel strap. The first look inside didn't say fishing boat. It was cramped, hot, and clean. False bulkheads ran fore and aft with service ports too small for a person. Once they popped a panel, the interior told the story. A lithium-ion battery array filled a sealed bay, close to a ton of cells bound in racks with heavy copper bus bars and thermal spacing. Temperature probes dotted each bank. A compact module labeled NAV-02 sat shock-mounted near the helm, cabled into control lines and an encrypted uplink that had its own shielded route. The wiring wasn't guesswork, it was engineered. That is why the team called it a weapon. Range without surfacing, a signature built to disappear, and autonomy to repeat routes over and over without a human hand on the wheel. It could move product. It could also run decoy tracks, scout corridors, or deliver anything that fits a sealed compartment. One platform, multiple missions, and no need to recruit crews that talk. They pulled storage from under the deck and behind the false walls. 3 route logs showed runs from Venezuelan ports up toward Florida approaches. Network captures during the hold revealed comms pings that resolved to servers near Maracaibo. Timestamps and chart tracks pointed at September transits already completed, which meant this wasn't the first trip. It was the third. The fight left 3 cartel members dead. 5 more went to flex cuffs and were pulled to the RIBS. The Hamilton secured the hull and craned readiness for tow. On board, teams weighed out 2,240 pounds of chemical base and started tagging evidence. The wounded sailor got shrapnel treated and stayed stable. The battery mass, the autonomy module, the hidden compartments, those moved the classification out of transport and into persistent threat. With 1 prototype seized and production obvious from the parts and wiring, the mission shifted from a single boarding to a race to build a wider net before more hulls come up for air together.